Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Cruise Show. It's your host here, Donovan, with David from the 5x5 and Ken Boggle from the Ken Boggle Show. Say hi, guys.
Hey.
What's up?
So we are talking tonight about, what are we talking about? We're talking about broken hearts. We've spoken about this before in a different light. We talked about, what did we talk about before? Just advice I think we gave to people.
Yeah, the best advice we could offer to people about heartbreak.
Right. And so tonight we're going to talk about each of our specific broken hearts. So most people have had some broken heart in their lifetime. And I know I talked very, very briefly about it with Ken before, but we'll get to him in a minute. Let's start with David and see what he has to say.
Oh, boy.
Why am I always the one that always has to start?
Because it's your lot in life. Deal with it. Tell us about your heartbreak.
Whatever. Hey, everybody. Well, I thought about this. It's so funny because today I was driving, and little short sidebar, my backup cell phone broke, and so I had to use the backup to the backup. So, and I didn't realize this, that when you go through your sometimes the old messages are logged to the phone and not the SD card. Like when I have my smartphone, I put everything on the SD card, but it was an old phone. And so all these old messages were on my backup to the backup. So I'm going through it and I see messages from my best friend, which we aren't friends. So this is not like a romantic heartbreak. It's more like a friendship heartbreak. I don't know if anybody else has experienced. I'm sure we've all went through friendships that went down the drain. And this in particular was, this is a person that I've talked to Donovan about this before, and I think I've shared some stuff with you, and I've shared it with it on my show. We were friends for 15 years. And we both weren't going in the same direction, and some things happened. But every time I see this person's name, I get that crazy, that feeling like that the bottom of your stomach's ready to fall out onto the floor, and that part of your heart just kind of pangs for, a resolution of sorts. And I still I haven't gotten over that. That's still heartbreaking, and so I don't.
But you haven't told us what happened. What happened?
Tell us the details, honey.
I can't give all the dirt because it's his personal business and my personal business. But it went to the way to where
whatever. No,
seriously, because I still haven't in my mind resolved it. Long story short on that particular issue, like I said, I think sometimes you can be too intertwined in your friend's life, to where, because we were inseparable, and it was almost like we were dating, but we weren't. And of course, everybody thought, two gay guys can't be best friends without dating. So a lot of people think that, oh, you guys sleeping together. No, we're not. He's like my brother. And we just had different mindsets about stuff. He wanted things this way, and I wanted things a certain way. And then here's what happened, the real deal. My best childhood friend that I grew up with, that I have been friends with for like 35 years, came into the picture. We reconnected. He didn't like it. And so he did everything in his power to discount her and didn't want her around, talked about her. But yet and still, when he had a new friendship or whatever, and I had something to say about it, he would get mad and get defensive. I'm like, well, how can you discount somebody that I love this person. She's been in my life all my life. Yes, you have been in my life. He wanted to be the number one friend. I'm like, that's not how we operate, And so to the point it drove him crazy. And then I resented him for feeling that way. And so it came one night, it just all come crashing down. We had a big explosion. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done. Because I don't see this healing. We can't heal the way we are now. We have to be apart. And even when I think about him, because I seen his mother a few weeks ago, and she says, have you talked to him? I'm like, no. She's like, well, y'all need to stop being silly. Y'all both are being silly. So it's been 2 years, over 2 years now, since I've laid eyes on this person. I still think about him. I dream about him all the time because, again, we were so in each other's lives that we were really, really connected. But then when things went bad, neither one of us wanted to give the other one any leeway on how we felt. So I was like, you know what? I don't need this. I love you enough to walk away from you, to salvage a future friendship, but right now this is not going to work. But that healing process hasn't happened because I still am hurting over our involvement, our friendship that's no longer what it was. So I'm still kind of hurting over it.
So, I mean, what have you done to like get over it, honey? Like, what have you done? What have you tried to get closure? You don't want closure, though, do you? I mean,
I said today I was having a conversation with myself, and I said today I think in the future we will be friends. Now, whether we'll be friends to the level that, because he's a great person, he's a great individual, a smart guy, and we respect each other, But as in us being friends and being back to that place where we were, I don't know if it'll get back to that level, but I'm hopeful that we'll be friends again. But right now, and no, I haven't did anything to resolve it. The last conversation we had was through email. And he had some things to say about me. I had some things to say about him. And then that was it. And I was like, oh, I lied. The last conversation I had with him was before Thanksgiving in 2011. It was 2012. And he called to check on my mother. And it was so shocking because because in my phone, you know how you put, like, I never deleted him on my phone. I just put an X in front of his name so it'd be at the bottom of my phone list.
Oh, yeah.
And so it come up X and his name, and I answered it. He's like, "Hey, David?" I'm like, "Hey." He's like, how's mama? And he calls my mother. I'm like, she's fine. And we kind of talked about that. Wasn't nothing deep. And there was still that kind of awkwardness. And you could tell we both were still hurting, and we wanted to say something, but I didn't take the opportunity to say it. Now, another friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, has tried to push the lines of communication open. I don't know what he's been saying, but I know on my side, I'm like, I just rather not talk about it. This is something that he and I will have to deal with when we deal with it. And obviously it's still not the right time. And I'm still hurt. I'm still hurt. Like seeing those emails, like today, those text messages when I was going through them, one of them said, can you swing by and grab me some Chick-fil-A? That's before the Chick-fil-A. That was the Chick-fil-A debacle. Remember, before that all happened.
Oh, yeah.
And I sent back, sure, what do you want? And it was that. And then he told me, then there was another one that said how he was doing at his job. He was hating his day and what we're going to do tonight, stuff like that. So I'm like, wow, we were really, really connected. And it still, it hurt me. I was kind of upset for a little bit earlier today about it.
What about you, Ken?
Well, mine comes from, I had a really hard time with the question because no one has ever broken up with me.
Aren't you special?
No, except for once. Twice. Once because I wasn't black, a guy broke up with me.
Well, did he know that when he met you?
Well, now listen, apparently he was trying something new. Mm-hmm. He was like, I'll try vanilla, see what it's like, but it didn't work out for me. He was just like, I done told him, I was like, look, I'm never going to be black. No matter how hard I try, I am never going to be able to be, a black man. It's just not going to happen. But anyway, the other guy who broke up with me because you know how when things aren't going well and you want to break up with someone, but you don't want to be the bad guy, so you do everything they hate to get them to break up with you?
No, I don't do that.
Oh, okay. Well, I did it because we had the same circle of friends and all this and all that. But he hated me smoking and spending big money and going out and drinking, so I did all that all the time. But those are the only times that I've ever been broke up with, so I've never really had like a heartbreak except for with my family. When I was 15, and I know I've talked about this on my show, and I'm sure I've talked to both of you about it in the past, but because of their religious standards, my mother kicked me out to my father, who was living in a different home. When he found out I was gay, he kicked me out, and basically I became homeless. Yeah. At the age of 16. So here I was trying to go to school, trying to do extracurricular activities, trying to get my driver's license, for fuck's sake. And at the end of it was just, devastation. I was devastated. It was too much to bear, working a full-time job, going to school, not having family, all of that. And I remember getting through it a number of different ways. First was just an ass load of Coke. That really helped. Now, I don't prescribe that to anybody because it's dangerous and illegal, but it really did at that time help me to escape it long enough for me
I
to
love
deal
your
with it.
honesty. That's great.
And I mean, long enough for me to cope. You know, it was a form of escapism, but again, I was 16. I had to escape because I couldn't pretend like everything was okay every day without some kind of like self-medicating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Coke helped. Don't do it, listeners. But
No.
if you know, but there you go. But music was really, really instrumental. He was really instrumental in helping me become to escape or to find strength. And my friends, of course, I had friends. But what really, really helped me get over the heartbreak of the situation was that I developed an obsession, like some kind of really deep-seated, intense, almost frightening ambition to make the most of my life for no other reason than to spite them. And that passion, that drive, that ambition allowed me to focus on working full-time, going to school, being in honors programs and extracurricular activities, and renting an apartment, and going through emancipation processes and all of that.
So it was a bit of a catalyst for your future.
Like all kinds of different things. But now, listen, I want to say this for anyone who is going through this, going through the same kind of heartbreak where your family disappoints you and hurts you to this level. My mother and I. This was 15 years ago when this happened. Sometime, maybe 2 or 3 years after they had first kicked me out and all this, my mother and I reunited. I forgave her, even though she didn't ask for it.
How old were you, though?
I was 15,
Okay.
16.
Okay.
I was just on the cusp of being 16.
Mm-hmm.
15 was a hard year for me. That was the year my girlfriend had an abortion and all this. It was a devastating year.
You need to write a book, Ken.
No, nobody wants a memoir from a 30-year-old. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Oh, well.
They'd be like, you ain't even lived a 30-year life. Shut up. Anyway, but my mother and I, we reunited, and I forgave her, and I wanted to give her a chance to make it up to me. And in the end, 15 years after we reunited, just recently, I disowned that entire side of the family. I basically said, look, I should have never forgiven you in the first place. I should have never allowed you back into my life. No one in their right mind says to their 15-year-old kid, I'll beat the queer out of you. Nobody does that. I've gone through all of my surgeries. I've gone through all of these things by myself, on my own. So the fact that I lived through and muddled through the process the first time, it made me so much stronger this time as a 30-year-old to be able to say, look, I've cut myself off from you people. You're toxic. You're it's not going to work. And so it made me stronger. That first initial heartbreak, even though it was devastating, it made me so much stronger.
Yes.
So I kind of, in the end, and I know it sounds sort of, masochistic, but in the end, I'm thankful for the pain because that pain allowed me to see the situation clearly for what it was.
That's wonderful. It's intelligent. It's a mark of intelligence to be able to look back on what you've gone through and actually make draw conclusions from it and make something good come out of it, meaning that you've actually grown stronger as a result of it. That's wonderful.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
good.
yeah. And and I said it before in like our holiday episode, like the best gift I gave myself this Christmas was to completely disassociate myself from the rest of my family. It was like the best gift I have ever given myself. It was like, oh, this is so great. Like I really felt happy and I felt kind of at peace with it. So yeah, it was 15 years in the making of developing that peace, but it came.
That's good.
So what about you, Pumpkin? What's your biggest heartbreak?
Well, unlike the two of you who are completely bailing out of the question,
But I got permission to bail out.
I know,
How am I bailing out of the question?
you didn't talk about romantic love. You talked about a friendship, which doesn't mean it's any less severe or meaningful. But I mean, the question's really more about romance. But
Oh, was
that's
I thought
okay.
we was talking about it meant anything, like any kind of heartbreak you went through? Because I don't really have like.
Oh
Ken, I don't
no,
really
no,
have
no,
a
yeah.
love heartbreak. 'Cause
Well,
I do
the
most
two of
heartbreak
you
like
are
this.
so just so
Emotionally
lucky.
available, David.
The two of you are so fortunate just to be never have experienced heartbreak. But I have something to say about that when I finish my story, if you want me to.
Oh, I
So
love that.